All right, everyone. Welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for May 15th through the 21st of 2017. All right, so this week, let me go ahead and show you the transits here. An average week in terms of aspects, but a very life path associated week, I feel like. We've got two aspects this week with the North Node. Mercury trining the North Node coming into the week. Then a bit later, the Sun squares the North Node. So the North Node in the chart essentially represents where life is taking us, what qualities and areas of life we're developing. And so collectively, for all of us, it's Leo. North Node's transiting Leo at the moment, which is all about our self-expression. And so I think it's a fantastic week for the first half, maybe learning about our self-expression, what it is we're passionate about, what it is we enjoy, what's fulfilling for us personally. And then as the week unfolds, the second half, certainly about what actions and steps we can take to cultivate those passions. So I think that's certainly a theme of the week. We'll look at this specifically for each of your signs, of course. So after this collective segment, there are timestamps down the comment section. You can click your sign's timestamp, and that'll take you directly to your sign's video. But let's look at this collectively for everyone. The other thing about this week is that we are in the third quarter phase, which means that we did have the full moon last week. And so this is a great week for taking steps. And again, that's very much like the square up to the North Node, because the moon will be squaring the sun, about midweek. So this is taking steps and actions perhaps towards whatever insights that you did gain last week during the full moon. Now, they're not always like active. Maybe you gained insight that you need to relax more, meditate, or something like that. But whatever the steps are for you personally, fantastic week for this. And I think you can find that throughout the process, you are moving things forward. You are cultivating, I think, more of what came to you last week. All right, in terms of maybe quite literally came to you, and then you're developing it and cultivating it, or most specifically, I would say, and generally, just whatever insights you gained from last week. All right, so let's go ahead and break this down one by one, starting with this Mercury trining the North Node. Yes, the North Node's in Leo. There's a lot to learn about our life path, and I think a lot to learn specifically about our self-expression this whole year, as was the case for most of last year as well with this North Node transit. So Leo is all about the things that are close to our heart and cultivating those things, spending time perhaps with those things or people even that are close to our heart. And all in all, just kind of spicing things up, having a bit of fun, a bit of playfulness, a bit of creativity. And there's a lot of support, I think, for at the very least learning about all this inner passion and self-expression this first half of the week, these first couple days in particular. Then as we get to about midweek, around Wednesday, Thursday, Mercury does start to shift into Aries. So where we had the Sun leave Aries last week, now Mercury is taking its place in, Mercury's taking its place in Aries. So very good for direct communication. I think our minds are actually coming out of what has been a very watery, dreamy, intuitive area of Pisces. Mercury had already actually gone into Aries. But then went retrograde back into Pisces. There was something we had to finish up these past roughly month regarding letting go, regarding listening to our intuition, regarding going with the flow. But now Mercury is back into a very good placement for Mercury, actually. He likes to be here in Aries. So our mind is clear this week. I think the second half in particular. Our communication can be direct. Our thinking can be direct, clear. And I think we could be thinking about ourselves, what are our personal needs in life, and cultivating those as well. Now, that same time around Thursday, the Sun does sextile up to Chiron. So there is some healing taking place with our self-expression. I think at least an opening for this. If there is an opportunity or something that presents itself this week for you that you feel like you could, cultivate or focus on or put energy into, that you feel like if you did, you would feel healed. That maybe it's facing some wounds or something. I think it's a great middle part of the week for that. Now, it's not a major aspect, it's just a sextile, and that's what I mean by an opportunity. It's very minor. We may feel like, again, doing this thing or cultivating this thing that we feel that we could do to feel healed, but we can choose or choose not to do it. And I think it's great to choose to do that. It's an excellent week for healing, particularly healing the things that, again, we're either passionate about, because the sun is very much like Leo. Either we're passionate about, focused on, right? That through that process of cultivating those passions, that self-expression, we can feel healed in the process. All right, so the most important thing this week, though, is going to be, Saturn trining up to Uranus. Okay, this has been going on since late December of last year, and now we have the second aspect of it this week. So pretty much all week long, this is an orb. It's a very supportive one. It's going to go exact on Thursday, so maybe there's something shifting with this, but it's essentially where we're combining both the practical aspect of ourselves, Saturn, that wants to see things long-term and built solidly, joining up with the planet that just wants us to have excitement in our life, wants us to have freedom, right? And cultivate and build a life that is an expression of what we're truly about. So very good aspect there. Again, we'll check to see which houses this is associated for you personally, but it's all about long-lasting freedom. So this week, if you do feel like you're making progress, you're making steps, yes, this is still going on for the rest of the year. I believe the next aspect is in August. If it's not August, I'll put a comment down below because I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But this is the second one. And usually the second one is some sort of shift. Some sort of now, oh, I see, okay, we become a bit clearer about what steps we can do to build this freedom, to build our life, to build these long-term goals and stuff, so it is more in alignment with what we're truly about. And even towards our ideals, Uranus is that higher octave of the self that is very idealistic, and Saturn can help us build towards those ideals, those aspirations. Okay, so fantastic week for that. And again, there might be something shifting that makes sense. And between now and, again, I believe August, but I'll put a comment section down below if that's not August. But I believe between now and August, an excellent time for this implementation, because the first one, since December and now, it's not very clear. Between the first aspect and the second aspect, we kind of maybe feel inspired. We may feel like building some long-term things, and we may actually do that, but here's where the clarity starts to shift. Here's where it makes a bit more sense in terms of, oh, I see, this is exactly what I want to do, or this is exactly how to do it. Okay? And so we just kind of have that shift, and again, it's great for the coming months to do just that. Build long-lasting freedom towards those ideals. Now, along with that, at the same time here around Friday, we do have Venus opposing up to Jupiter. So, yes, whenever you see a lot of aspects lining up like this, it usually does mean some sort of shift, like significant. Not major, obviously your personal chart's going to determine that. But this is confluence. When you see a bunch of things line up, usually when things do change in our life that are somewhat significant, it does involve different areas of life. So it could be that, whatever the shift is, obviously it's involving different areas. But collectively for all of us, this is Venus, which is about relationships, and it's also about our enjoyments of life. Now, the thing is Jupiter, of course, expands, but in an opposition, we may go to an extreme with this. So there's nothing wrong with enjoying things and, our relationships and company and all of this. But we do want to be aware of any imbalances at this time around Friday. Over-optimism, over-enjoyment, over-indulgence, right, if it is on that material level. And I think just striking a balance, understanding that collectively there is this push to expand maybe a little bit beyond what is maybe healthy or what we actually want in the long term, right, or what's grounded. But through the balance, I think we can very much enjoy things. In fact, Venus opposite Jupiter is a sort of high point regarding the year in terms of what maybe you felt inspired about 6 months ago regarding your relationships and regarding the things you enjoy in life. And also maybe doing this bit of a status check with that, all right, and enjoying it with moderation. All right, then there's that Sun square up to the North Node going into the weekend. So, as I said, is very much a life path week. And this is very much about that North Node in Leo, which is all about learning about that passion. So here's the challenge, though. The square is the challenge. And so with the North Node, especially with squares, the square is actually squaring the North Node and the South Node, right? The South Node is everything from the past or past life that we are releasing, okay? That, you know, those particular energies, the things we yearn for and want that we feel like are not here in this life, that they feel missing. It's releasing those feelings, releasing that karma can very much free us up so that we can develop the new karma, the new destiny, which is saying there's something here about self-expression, about passion, about enjoyments, about the lighter side to life here, Leo stuff, creative even for some of you, hobbies, interests for others. But whatever it is, yes, it's a challenge to maybe cultivate that, develop that. And the challenge, I think, is particularly with the South Node of releasing those past energies. And here in Aquarius, the South Node could be specifically with past ideals. All right? So just like that Uranus, we do have this very, aspiring energy with Uranus trining Saturn. But at the same time, maybe there are some past ideals that are being released. Right? So sort of being aware of that. The North Node is not a very personal planet, so we don't feel it that personally. But as an undercurrent to this time around Friday with all this shifting taking place, seeing if there is any past patterns you can break, some past karma you can release in order to cultivate this new direction, which I think is much more about, again, that passion and self-expression. All right, so that is the week. Generally, I would say to sum this up, the strongest thing is this Saturn trining up to Uranus since late December. What are some actions and steps, long-term stuff we can take to cultivate our ideals, to build our life around who we are, to what gives us freedom in life? And I think it's a very supportive week for that. There's also a lot to learn about our life path, our destiny. In fact, if you haven't yet seen it, I did make a North Node video a while back. I'll put that also down in the comment section so that you can check that out, because each of our North Node destiny is different in our birth chart. And whenever there's these transits that activate the North Node, it very much activates our own personal destiny. So very important there if you want to check that out, since this week is very much emphasizing the nodes. And yeah, the third quarter phase, I think it's a great time for just taking steps from whatever insights you gained from last week. All right, so let's go and look at this now for each of the individual signs. I do recommend watching this for your sun, moon, and ascendant sign. If you don't know your moon or ascendant, there is a link down below for a birth chart calculator. You can check this out. And again, we are using the actual size of the constellations. So if you are new to the channel, you definitely want to check out the What is Sidereal Astrology link down below, because that'll help you understand what we're looking at here, because the signs are different from mainstream astrology, and you want to make sure you're watching for the right sign. All right, so let's go and look at this individually. All right, Aries, welcome to your segment of the weekly forecast here. So first things, I would say Mars, in the second house, and the Sun has recently shifted into your second house as well. I think there's a lot of emphasis on your values. I think there has been, though, with Mars here it's been over a month now. So very good for motivating yourself towards anything you do value. I think oftentimes the second house is the house of finance, which we'll look at a bit deeper. But I think most fundamentally, just your sense of self-worth is really being illuminated at this time, and your self-reliance. And I think putting energy into those values and through the action, yes, building the self-confidence, the self-reliance and sense of self-worth through that process. And so very much being activated. In fact, you're going to have a new moon here next week, suggesting a whole new beginning with the things you value in life, and how, yes, you do have everything naturally to cultivate the things you truly value in life. Now, Mercury is shifting into your sign here around Thursday, so nothing new, though. About a month and a half ago, Mercury was in your sign, went retrograde back into your 12th house of Pisces. But now, you got Mercury again. So all of you, the second half of the week, going into the next, you could be feeling quite communicative, quite mental, practical. Learning could be certainly emphasized for you at this time. Maybe even your routine or your work. And really with Mercury coming out of your 12th house, a sense of clarity. Because Mercury, does not like to be in Pisces, does not like to be in the 12th. And, that can create a lot of uncertainty, a lot of, more deeper things that aren't very clear about where we're headed, where we're going, and what we're thinking about. But certainly when Mercury comes into Aries, it really emphasizes that. So I think you are getting a dose of clarity the second half. I think probably, too, in regards to what you want in life, your goals, your personal needs, you'll be thinking a lot about those these coming weeks. But yeah, very good for just sort of shifting perspective about what it is you want and how to cultivate that. Now, the North nodes, of course, are in your 5th house, so very much like the collective reading I was talking about, this is about your personal self-expression. And this is specifically the things of the 5th house. So if over the past year it's been, it was the bulk of last year and now for the rest of this year, anything that you consider close to your heart, okay? Could be, creative projects, it could be romance for some of you, spending time with your children, if you have children in your life, anything that's about speculation, fun, creativity in the sense of, there's so many things that are creative, hobbies, interests also. So this isn't really like very prominent because the North Node is kind of like an undercurrent. But if you look at the undercurrent of last year and this year, maybe there is something pulling you into this direction for you to have fun, to enjoy those things that are close to your heart, and cultivate them as well. So that's very much being activated this week with Mercury trine the North Node. The first half, you could be learning about this, creative, expressive stuff, whatever that is. And then around Friday, maybe taking some steps towards cultivating some of those, some of that self-expression. But really, the North Node's always about learning anyways. So I think just being open to learning about this 5th house stuff is excellent. And, with your South Node in the 11th, it's all about releasing past energy that is about those ideals. Maybe past aspirations are being released. Maybe some things involving groups or friends. And so if there's any yearnings there, it's about releasing those yearnings, understanding that, yes, this is a time of bringing more balance back to your networks and your aspirations, but it'll be because you're cultivating what you're personally passionate about, because that's exactly what your community needs or the world needs. That's what your aspirations need, is for you to be doing things because you enjoy them passionately, and it sparks that inner flame. So a very important week for that. And yeah, anything you can do around Friday to challenge yourself with that transition along your life journey, I think is fantastic. Now, looking at this a bit deeper in terms of the finances, yes, I think it's a great time to continue to focus on them. You could be motivated towards them. But Venus is going to be opposing up to Jupiter here around, Friday. And so Venus, your second house ruler, I think it's important to be moderate and balanced, as I was saying, and maybe particularly with the financial stuff. Venus in your 12th house, which she actually does like to be in Pisces and in the 12th. It has been more though, perhaps of a receptive time in terms of finances. Or it's been more about, maybe it's been more easygoing, actually. Maybe some of you have found a bit of flow with it. But for others, maybe it's more uncertain. So whatever it is, you could be feeling inspired here, financially or with investments. And I think it's great to, just maintain balance, but still see that, yes, you can enjoy things, be grateful for things, you even enjoy your relationships, which we'll look at. Venus rules your 7th, or all these things you enjoy connecting to with that balance and moderation. All right, now let's look at this Saturn squaring up to Uranus, because, yes, this is a very important aspect this week. Saturn rules your 10th house of career and also those future aspirations as well, like even friendships and stuff. So you get this very nice support here around this. It's pretty much all week, but there could be something shifting around Thursday, Friday, where you do feel a bit inspired. And maybe it has been something you've been thinking about or even cultivating since late December that now takes on a new direction, a new shift. And it is all about having more freedom in your life. And I think specifically for you, freedom in your career, freedom with your work, freedom perhaps with whatever network circles or groups you're a part of, and your aspirations, feeling very inspired. But this is all for you to have more peace, Uranus is transiting your 12th house. So maybe it's more about letting something go or bringing in more tranquility into your life through letting some perspectives go or something like that. But either way, you're doing it. And I think it's very easy to cultivate that. And I think, too, what it is also, Saturn over the past couple of years has been helping you really get deeper in life, to build long-lasting things that truly matter to you in life. And so this could certainly be in that department as well, where you are perhaps free to, yes, be open with life, vulnerable with life, right, in order to cultivate these aspirations and more peace in your life. And even your career needs this dose of depth and, openness with it and transformation with it. Same with your friends and groups and things like that. So a very good aspect. And I think fundamentally it is just about long-term things here. Your 10th house ruler with this trine up to Uranus, freeing things up about the long term that you can cultivate this stuff. So it is more in alignment with your freedom. All right, now let's look at these relationships, because Venus opposing Jupiter. It is kind of a halfway point of the year in terms of opportunities with relationships and enjoying, the bit of adventurousness, open-mindedness, and a bit of just inspiration, with those relationships. So it is also about balance, and so if there's anything that you do feel good about, yes, absolutely enjoy, your relationships, enjoy connecting there. With balance and moderation. And I think you'll find this to be a very good week for that, in fact. And again, I think it's about you connecting to the more receptive approach to your relationships. Venus has been here for such a long time. It's been months in this 12th house of yours, where your relationships are dissolving, your perspective of them. But so you can connect to them in a much more accepting way, a much more easygoing way, right? And now with this opposition up to Jupiter, yes, enjoying them with that balance and moderation. There might even be something shifting here for you in terms of your relationship perspective about this peace, about this unconditionality and acceptance that is shifting around Friday. All right, so Aries, I hope you all have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comment section for that. But I wish you all the very best. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. But I'll see you all next week. Take care. All right, Taurus, welcome to your weekly forecast. So first of all, happy birthday for those of you watching for your sun sign who have your birthdays this week. All of you do have the sun transiting your first house now. So all of you, though, should be feeling a bit like there's more of a focus on yourself and your self-expression. Maybe having a bit of fun, creativity. In fact, you are about to have a new moon in your sign next week. So it's still early, but new beginnings for you in a yearly sense are certainly around the corner. And I think a lot of it will be about your independence, your personal needs, your goals, asserting yourself into the world, taking actions and steps, which I think you haven't been shying away from lately. You've had Mars transiting your first house for over a month now, suggesting that, excuse me, suggesting you could have this motivation to cultivate these things that you do want in life, and you're very direct at the moment, which is great. So yeah, that's very much being emphasized, and you do have Mercury shifting into your 12th though this week. So maybe this second half you may be feeling like learning more about yourself spiritually, psychologically. You've already done a lot of spiritual work actually, but this whole lunar cycle did still start in Aries, which is about this. So now with Mercury in the 12th, maybe still listening to your dreams, learning more about yourself psychologically, spiritually, that sort of thing. Just so you can, understand more about the deeper dimensions of life. And really at the end of the day with the 12th house is finding peace, right? Finding peace and tranquility, and letting go of everything that's outside of your control. And that can really ease up your mind. All right. Now, if you do feel a bit of confusion, doubt, that kind of a thing, this is a temporary transit. He'll be there for a couple weeks, but use this in healthy ways towards your spiritual growth, development, psychological development, finding peace. Okay, but I don't think this is a major aspect or a major placement. I think most importantly, all this energy in your first house about focusing on what's important for you at the moment and developing your independence is the emphasis. All right, now in terms of the financial side of things, this is seen by that Mercury. So involving these things, of the 12th house, it could be financial. You may be, for some of you, uncertain about that. Or others, you may actually find things are just kind of flowing here and you don't really have to think about them that much. So it is great to, either way, just kind of flow with this area, detach. Again, understand things are transient here. And with Mercury trying the North Node, maybe there is something you're learning about, financial stuff or investments or something here around Monday. And that's really the gist, isn't it? I mean, your North Node is down here in your 4th house, so it's a fantastic week for still learning about things like home and location and your family and health even. Learning about your health. This has really been the emphasis last year and this year of learning about these foundations of life as an undercurrent, So Mercury can certainly help you do this coming into the week, and maybe there is something that is, again, relating to the values of yours and maybe the material stuff that is supporting this whole life path where life is taking you towards establishing your foundations. All right, now in terms of the work side of things, let's first look at Saturn trining up to Uranus. Saturn rules your 10th house of career. So, yes, I think it's a fantastic time for maybe making some shifts and changes towards your career. You could be feeling inspired to do that. You could see that there's some aspirations. In fact, a lot of you are very aspiring and have been lately. You've had Venus, your ruler, in the 11th house of these future things. So if there's been anything new since December, late December, that you've been thinking about, involves your career, where you could have more freedom in your life, or maybe it's more of an expression of what you're about. And even too, where you could expand your horizons a bit. Saturn does rule your 9th. This is great. Okay. And I think through this process, you are now taking the steps for the coming months about cultivating this greater sense of freedom here with these things. Okay. So I do also want to say, though, that your South Node is transiting the 10th. So maybe there is some unhealthy things, some things you can let go of here around Friday about the career, right? The South Node's here. So there's some attachments, maybe some yearnings, this push and pull. And it's saying that, yes, you're likely very much concentrated on career with the South Node, but the North Node in the area of home and health is exactly what your career needs. You need that. Obviously, we all need to have good foundations in life in order to develop good, healthy career stuff. All right, so some things to think about there for Friday. Any steps you can take that are both balanced in both departments, both productive and personal, I think is fantastic. All right, so now looking at this in terms of, actually one more thing about the work. Venus does rule your routine sector, so here around that Thursday, actually around Friday time, maybe you are inspired about the routine, or maybe you don't want to cultivate the routine. Maybe you want to break that routine up a bit. So whatever it is, I think balance is key here. Balance with the day-to-day, and seeing where you can, yes, cultivate your work and routine throughout the day. Perhaps if that's what you're guided to do, there might be some opportunities through them. But again, staying balanced is, I think, important. Moderate there. All right, now in terms of the relationship sector, this is also that Saturn trine Uranus, because Saturn has been transiting your 7th of relationships. So if over the past couple of years you have been feeling a bit like, things are taking time with relationships, or you've just been more, serious about them, but at the same time very grounded about them, willing to take things slow, whether you're in a relationship or single, this trine may, for some of you, give you some relationship opportunities here. If you're in a relationship, this might be something where you're feeling a bit freer through them, like being yourself, or there's more freedom in the relationship. And if you're single, yeah, maybe you do, meet some friends or something. Uranus is in your 11th house, form some relationship friends, possibly romantic. You guys do have Jupiter in your 5th house. It is an excellent time for romance and self-expression and creativity. But whatever it is involving relationships, it's all about freedom. It's all about your aspirations. And so just having a bit of fun, a bit of excitement. And then maybe if it's just like you start to understand a bit more about relationships or friends or your aspirations, between now and these coming months, it's great to be implementing this. And you can be certainly inspired to do that this week. There's a lot of supportive energy to do that this week as well. All right, and of course, relationships is emphasized for you at the moment, actually, because you do have Mars in your 1st house. And so this is really accentuating the relationships. 7th house ruler in the 1st. And I think it's great to continue to enjoy all relationships that you have in your life. Really be grateful for who you have in your life, but at the same time, also maybe cultivate some new ones can be fantastic. All right, so Taurus, have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comment section. And I wish you all the very best this week, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. All right, Geminis, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's look at your ruler Mercury, who is going to be in the 10th house still of career and productive stuff up until about Thursday. So still great to be thinking about that, maybe implementing some things that you've learned these past. It's been about a month now. with your ruler in that 10th house and retrograde and all this, a little over a month. But now Mercury does shift into your 11th of friendships and also your future aspirations. So you may feel a sort of shift here this weekend or going into it where you're just thinking more about this, maybe spending time with friends and cultivating those future things for you. Now, the North Node is, again, very much being emphasized this week. The North Node's in your 3rd house of learning, particularly practical learning, actually your house. So it's been a great time last year and this year to do anything that does involve this, whether it's courses, reading, writing, developing your communication perhaps. Others may be trade and business and exchanging with others, connecting with your peers, even your community perhaps, and your siblings as well, also 3rd house. So whatever it's been there, it's a great week for this. The first half, learning about it when your ruler trines up to the North Node. And then later in the week around Friday, when the Sun squares that North Node, really good for challenging yourself here, because it's saying that, life is taking you into this very practical area. Maybe there are some things that are involving like philosophy or adventure or travel or university or something, and that might be where the emphasis is, but it's saying in order for you to have good, expansive stuff in life, we do have to develop the practical, right? And so it's a great week for that, learning more about the practical, developing it, because that's exactly what these much larger things in your life need, your beliefs, these inspirations perhaps. So yeah, that's the node. In terms of your finances, this is seen by what I think is emphasized this week, or what has been maybe since late December, is the more freeing side to shared resources. Okay, so you've got Saturn, the ruler of your 8th, being trined by Uranus this week, suggesting that if there is anything, because the 8th house isn't always financial, but if there is anything since late December that involves other people's money, involves loans or debts or the IRS perhaps, because again, that's like, it's basically anything that is shared or we're involved with someone else on a financial level with, anything on that, or even inheritance for some of you. There is this support now where you're feeling a bit freer with it. Maybe things are shifting. So maybe something is shifting with it if it was financial like that for you. But at the very least, you should know kind of what to do or what to implement. And I think fundamentally for all of you, maybe, relying on others a bit, because the 8th house is about, relying on others, healthy interdependency. And so you could be inspired to do that this week. And it's a great week for taking steps towards your finances, as it is in a monthly sense, because the moon, who does rule your 2nd house of finance, is in the square, is in that 3rd quarter phase. So always good during that to initiate, take some steps during what is usually a cyclical energy with your finances. All right, now in terms of your work, let's go ahead and have a look here at Venus opposing up to Jupiter from your 10th house. I think a lot of you might be enjoying your work lately. It's been a while, past couple months of Venus here. Or maybe making relationships through your work. But whatever it is, I think it's a great week for balance around Friday. Because, you do have Jupiter in your 4th, which is giving you plenty of opportunities here with your home life, family life. Maybe it's been more internal since Jupiter's retrograde, but he's going to go direct in early June. And yes, and it's about balance between the personal life, the home life, with the career and productive life. And so there might be some opportunities, there might be a bit of inspiration or something about these two key areas. But yes, balance and moderation is the key here with those. All right, so now looking at this in terms of the relationships, same aspect, Venus opposing up to Jupiter, your 7th house ruler. Some of you might be enjoying some relationships or feeling like you want to connect. Again, maybe it's through your work, or maybe it has something to do with your home life. In fact, your relationships have been very much emphasizing your home life in some way this past, it's been a while now, 8 months, 9 months with Jupiter here. So whatever that has been in terms of these opportunities here with your roots, right, or home, family, with your health, that is exactly what your relationships need. And it could be through all of this that you are cultivating your relationships. And now with this opposition this week, yeah, enjoying them. And but at the same time, there's this pendulum swing, right? So it might be over-optimistic, under-optimistic. And so anything you can do to help balance and settle any extremes you may feel with the relationship department, I think is important. All right, and I didn't mention too, I do want to mention that you do have a lot of 12th house emphasis this week, and really for a while now, because the sun has just recently entered into your 12th. You're about to have a new beginning here. 12th house is the house of spirituality. It is the house of maybe getting some rest and relaxation, taking a step back. And so anything you can do this week to implement a bit of surrender, letting go, detaching, being present, getting some rest, whatever it might be, is great. That's your source of energy. And again, it's all part of what will be a new beginning around the corner. All right. So Geminis, the way I would sum up this week is you do have Mercury in your 10th up until Thursday. Great for productive stuff. In fact, it is a really good week for that. With Venus here, enjoying that, but balancing that with your personal life, home, health stuff. And but Mercury in the 11th, second half, probably feeling a bit inspired to connect with community or friends, perhaps, or if it's more internal, your aspirations for the future. All right, so Geminis, have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares. I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you all next week. Take care. All right, Cancers, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's look at the moon, of course, your ruler in the third quarter phase. So very important for your sign to, yes, take some steps this week. You know, your sign does follow the lunar energy. And right now with the square, moon squaring sun, very good to take any steps towards any insights you did gain last week. And just all in all to challenge yourself, you know, this week in terms of taking steps. Now, you do have a lot of 11th house emphasis. You got the sun who's recently shifted into this 11th to join up with Mars. So I think it is great to be focusing on your future aspirations at the moment. In fact, a lot of you could have some new beginnings here next week involving your hopes and wishes for the future. And others maybe spending some time with your friends, network circles, community. Some of you getting very progressive, you know, seeing the world at large. Internet, online, social stuff, perhaps things like that could be emphasized, if not yet, maybe around the corner once you have that new moon there in the 11th. But at the most fundamental level, the 11th really is about your aspirations, and I think just focusing on those is a great prelude to what could be some new beginnings with that. Now, looking at things financially, this is seen by that North Node. As I said, it is a very important North Node week. And this is all about last year and this year being about learning about finances, developing this area, cultivating it, you know, this material security, maybe investments or whatever it is, savings, things like this. So the first couple days, Mercury trines the North Node. You could be gaining some insights about this, or you're just learning more about it. And there's a very good practical energy for it this first half. Then the second half, on Friday, the sun squares up to that North Node, which means that there is this, again, great time to take some steps maybe financially, maybe because of what you're focused on with your aspirations, right? With the sun in the 11th. And maybe release some things, because I think right now there's probably a lot of emphasis on interdependency or on shared resources, or maybe just the deeper aspects of life. And that's the South Node in the 8th, but, you know, it's saying this whole life path is about you learning about the self-reliance, right? And the material security, material aspects of life. And so anything you can release that is any past karmic attachments or yearnings towards the deeper, towards the shared resources in any way, whatever that means for you personally, is great. That will free you up so you can, yes, cultivate this self-reliance, because that's exactly what, you know, this deeper stuff is. That, well, it's really what that deeper stuff needs. You know, like those real deep values, which I think you are very much connected to, they do need, of course, for us to be connecting to the material aspects of them, you know, and to have good self-reliance, material security in order to enjoy those deeper dimensions of life. All right, so great week for that. Again, taking steps with that. Now, in terms of your work sector, Mercury is shifting into your 10th house of career here this Friday going into next week. So you could be thinking more in terms of your career. You could be learning about it. In fact, it's a very good time for practical stuff here. Reading, writing, communication through that. You know, Mercury does very well in Aries, which is your 10th house, meaning that you could have very good mental aptitude and maybe some new things you're thinking about, ideas, whatever that is there. Okay. And I also want to mention, too, that Jupiter is going to be opposing up to Venus, because Jupiter does rule your 6th house of routine. So, yeah, maybe on some level here around Friday, maybe you are feeling like you do want to connect and enjoy a bit of the routine or your work. Or maybe there's even possibly a relationship or someone or some opportunity or something like that to connect through your work, your routine, whether it's a client or a friend. For some of you, I suppose, even romantic. But yeah, it's this suggesting that, yes, it's a great time to be enjoying, I think, this week, this later part, relationships through your work, your daily activities, with balance and moderation, of course. And, you know, your relationships are in the 9th house, which is more about the more expansive view of things. I think you're enjoying a bit of philosophy or higher learning or adventurousness, and that could be another very positive force there for your relationships. Now, speaking a bit more in terms of, but yeah, the emphasis here, though, is on balance with your routine, right? Balance with whatever you're doing on a daily level on Friday, and I think you'll find that to be a very fruitful time, and you can certainly enjoy that. All right, so now speaking of relationships, Saturn does rule your 7th house, trining up to Uranus. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised for a lot of you if around Thursday and Friday, there was some sort of establishment of something in the relationship sector, or maybe it's and again, it's all types of relationships, whether it's romantic or friendship or whatever it is there. So but if there's been anything since late December that you felt guided to cultivate involving relationships, where you can have maybe more freedom in your relationships, a bit more excitement, a bit more enjoyment, in fact, really express yourself through your relationships, because that's very much being emphasized with Saturn in your 5th. So if there has been anything, it could be a week where things start to shift there. But at the very least, for all of you, there is this shift of perspective about the importance of freedom in your relationships. If you're single, enjoying that. And then again, maybe mingling a bit, enjoying that, friends, things like that, expressing yourself, having fun. But if you, and then maybe, potentially romantic partnership could be. This is a very important aspect, but your personal chart determines that. But if you are in a relationship, this is where you could just enjoy a bit more freedom. Maybe it's the space, maybe it's you being who you are, your partner being who they are, and there's just a very good synergy here with this. And it really eases up what has been probably a more serious connotation to things like romance and passion and things like that. When Saturn's been in your 5th house these past couple of years. Right, it's been more limiting perhaps with the self-expression and fun, romance stuff. But now you get this nice trine up to Uranus, probably helping you express yourself as well. Again, have a bit of fun and excitement. I think it's very much relationship related for you. All right, so yep, that is the week in a nutshell. The way I would sum this up for you, Cancer, is that there is this 11th house emphasis. There's new beginnings around the corner about aspirations, maybe your network circles, things like that. It is a great time for even balancing to your larger perspective on things with your practical perspective. We can't have one without the other, but I think probably around Friday, you're just seeing things in a new way. Your perspective is shifting and changing in terms of where you can enjoy things and expand and see opportunities. And then Saturn trining Uranus. Yeah, maybe with those one-to-one connections, feeling a bit free there and seeing the importance of freedom in those relationships. And then with Mercury up there in the 10th house, probably thinking more about and getting some ideas about that career stuff. All right, so Cancers, have a fantastic week. I do want to thank you all very much for all of your likes, comments, and shares. I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like a personal reading, there is a link down in the comment section for that. But I wish you all the very best, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. All right, Leos, welcome to your weekly forecast. So your ruler, the sun, has recently shifted into your 10th house of career. productive things, future things. And I think you've already been very much motivated here with Mars at the top of the chart, but your energy level should be quite good, quite strong. You got both of these, fiery planets that love to be in the 10th house, up in the 10th. And so great for, just generally, I think just getting some active energy, doing your independent thing, which we'll talk about with that North Node. But yeah, you could have the wherewithal at this time. So anyways, on a productive level, we'll talk more about that. But yes, I think you could be more focused on your career, on achievement, success, productivity, and you'll certainly see some new beginnings with that around the corner once we have the new moon here next week. Now, looking at this in terms of your financial side of things, you do have Jupiter in your second, so a lot of you could be seeing opportunities, maybe since the past 9 months, involving finances, or this area is expanding, or you're learning about it. Although Jupiter's retrograde, if it's been more on the back burner, that's going to shift in early June when Jupiter goes direct. But Jupiter opposing up to Venus here this week could be something enjoyable here. If it's not financial, it's just the simple enjoyments of life. You do have Venus in your 8th house, which is helping you connect to the deeper dimensions of things anyways. What do these financial things actually mean, and what are they actually cultivating, for you in a deeper sense? Like, what is it you're truly connected to about them? But anyways, yes, it is all about balance with this too. So balance with your finances maybe around Friday, but also seeing that there is this balance about your self-reliance and interdependency, relying on others, because we all rely on others to a degree. And I think that's a good way of kind of looking at this financial area if you are involved with anything involving other people's money, or, that kind of a thing there. All right. And also Mercury, who does rule your second house of finance, is going into the 9th. So I think there is a transformation actually occurring with your financial sector, probably this later part of the week around Thursday. And when Mercury goes into the 9th, usually that's much more expansive for the area. So much more expansive for you financially, perhaps seeing the big picture, really good for expanding your horizons and maybe even making income from abroad, or things involving higher learning, spirituality, things like that. Okay. Now, in terms of the work sector, this is the Saturn trining up to Uranus for you in terms of your routine, at least. Saturn rules your 6th house. And so now your routine, I think it's a great week for mixing it up, trying some new things, changing some things. If you've been feeling like you want more freedom with your work, or you want your work to be more in alignment with what you're truly about, particularly since late December of last year, maybe this is where things start to shift and you start to see more clearly how it's unfolding or what you want to do to help it unfold. And so it's a great time for that. And I think there is a shift probably around this Thursday, Friday time about seeing things in a new way with your routine, with your work, and how it can, yes, give you more freedom in your everyday life. Okay? So with that, of course, yes, the Sun, Mars, up in the 10th house of future things, your career, that's where your focus is. And motivation is, and drive with Mars. Okay, so utilizing it at this time, in this solar cycle. And what you'll likely find too is with, next week, likely, there's probably going to be some new things here shaping up for you in the larger picture with the career-related stuff. All right, now in terms of relationships, this is also seen by Saturn trine Uranus. Saturn rules your 7th of relationships, so maybe something here about freedom. Again, if you've been feeling a bit more aspired, or a bit more like wanting to make some changes in your relationship sphere, so it does have more freedom. And this is all relationships, mind you, whether it's business partnership, romantic relationship, friendship. This is a very uplifting energy about now, seeing that your relationships can have more freedom. You can have more freedom. You can be yourself more in your relationships. And through that perspective that's shifting between now and these coming months, it's great to be implementing this, right? Implementing whatever this inspiration is, whatever this sort of ideal is, perhaps, and how it is really requiring, too, this openness and depth and vulnerability. Your relationships have really been needing this lately. This openness, this depth, this vulnerability, but it can be very easy to do that. And it's just kind of flowing, maybe with that self-expression as well. So yeah, very nice aspect, very supportive. And I think at the very least, you'll notice some sort of perspective shifting about how you can build your relationships with more freedom. Now, with that being said, though, you do have the South Node transiting the 7th. So there is some unhealthy things that have been going on this past year, roughly, that, or not that have been going on, but the unhealthy things that you could be releasing. You could be transforming, letting go of, involving relationships. And when the sun squares up to this around that same time, around Thursday, Friday, maybe you are letting some things go, some past patterns, some unhealthy patterns involving relationships. That is really what's needed in your relationships is actually your independence right now. And this is what last year and this year has been all about in terms of your life path, this undercurrent of your independence, doing what's right for you, because our relationships only benefit when we're clear about who we are and we are cultivating what we want and we do have independence. If we get too caught up in just the relationship, obviously that's just like it's a karmic cycle here, just loops and loops and loops. What's needed, it's saying here, is more independence, right? So as you're developing this, you're becoming clear about what you want in life, taking active energy, initiation, steps towards what's important to you. You're going to find that's exactly what your relationship sector needs at this time. All right, so Leos, that's the week in a nutshell. Hope you found this helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share down below. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comment section for a look at your personal chart. But I wish you the very best week, and I will see you all next time. Take care. All right, Virgos, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's look at your ruler, Mercury, who's been in your 7th house of relationships. We'll talk more about that. Still a lot of emphasis on relationships for you, I feel like. But your ruler is going into the 8th house here this second half of the week and for the next couple of weeks. So I think it is very good here for you to be getting deeper in life. I think you'll naturally already want to. In fact, you did get a glimpse of this about a month and a half ago when Mercury dipped back in here. But now it's excellent for just that openness, that vulnerability, connecting to life on a deeper level. And that could certainly be involving your relationships because it's so emphasized. But I think with your ruler, it's just fundamentally about you. You know, connecting to life, connecting to yourself, uncovering all these hidden things that, you know, we do bury under the rug. And now when the ruler comes in here or a prominent planet comes in here, we can lift up that rug. We can accept these things we've brushed under, which makes us much more holistic, much more whole. and healed in many ways. So anything that does involve deep diving with yourself psychologically, but also too, research could go very well with Mercury in the 8th, uncovering hidden things about the world, esoteric stuff, whatever it is, probably being emphasized for you this second half and onward. All right, now you do have a lot of 9th house emphasis, though. I think there's already been a lot of transformation. I think you've already done a lot of healing, actually. The sun has recently shifted into your 9th last week, and you will have a new beginning in your 9th. And this is the house of what happens after the transformation. Once we see the larger perspective of life, and we are feeling a bit inspired, a bit hopeful, a bit like expanding our horizon. So if you are focused on things that are either like spirituality or philosophy, or university for some of you, long distance matters, travel, there is a new beginning here around the corner for this. And I think as you continue to focus on this stuff and really motivate yourself towards some of this, larger stuff, expansive stuff, I think you'll find all that sets the foundation for what will be the new beginning next week here in your 9th. All right, so now looking at this in terms of your finances, this is seen by Venus for you, who is going to be opposing up to Jupiter. So I think balance and moderation is important with the financial side of things here around Thursday, Friday, maybe more so just Friday. But enjoy it, enjoy, be grateful for what you have in your life, who you have in your life. Venus is in your 7th house. As I said, relationships is very much emphasized. This whole financial stuff could be involving others or a partnership or something like that, because Venus, the second ruler, is in the 7th of relationships. But this opposition up to Jupiter, it is about moderation here, but there could be opportunities as well. So I think just with a centered perspective, seeing what opportunities do arise or what you can enjoy or be grateful for, I think is great. All right, now in terms of the work sector, this is Saturn trining up to Uranus. And so this is very supportive time, actually, I think specifically for your routine, actually. Okay. Now, speaking of the routine first, I do want to say that you do have the South Node in the 6th house. So maybe, this past roughly year, there has been some past energy that's being released about your work or your career. I mean, more of your day-to-day work, whatever you do for like your job. And so if you do feel like there are some, because there's likely a lot of emphasis here actually with the South Node, but if you do feel like there's any unhealthy patterns or yearnings really, this past life energy that you can release here and really develop more of what is an excellent time for your peace, spirituality, tranquility, alone time, rest and relaxation. This is where the North Node is. And I think this first couple days of the week when your ruler trines up to the North Node, you could be learning more about this importance of surrender, letting go, finding that inner peace, true inner happiness. But that's exactly what your work needs. Your work needs more of that detached perspective, more of that rest, more of that alone time, spiritualness, and bringing that back into your work and routine, I think, is a really important emphasis this week, especially as the sun is squaring up to those nodes. Now, though, speaking on that, though, at the same time the sun squares that South Node and North Node, Saturn does trine Uranus, so there could be certainly something shifting here with your work or your job. If there has been anything since late December that you felt inspired towards, you wanted more freedom with in terms of your routine and your work, things could be shifting. Now, it may shift externally to where some of you do see a new opportunity. Again, maybe it's about your relationships in many ways, actually, or clients or something like that. But at the most fundamental level, I think it's that your whole perspective of your work is shifting. And I think the perspective is, yes, where you can have more freedom and make some changes with your work so it is more in alignment with what you're truly about. And between now and the next few months, while Saturn continues to trine Uranus through the rest of this year, it is really good to implement this change. And it'll become clear in terms of it now. Because since December, it's more like we just feel it. We're just getting acclimated to it. But now there's a shift. And the shift is action. Between now and these coming months, action of freedom with your work, changes there to have them more in alignment with your true self. All right, now in terms of relationships, yes, so we've kind of already covered this, but you have a lot of emphasis here. Venus is in the 7th house. You've been learning a lot about it with all these retrogrades and stuff through here these past many months. But Venus opposing up to Jupiter, your 7th house ruler, does emphasize this importance of balance with them as well. There could be opportunities, of course, or something shifting with them. Also great to do a status check about all relationships in your life here around Friday. But balance, and balance with yourself and relationships, right? Because you got Jupiter in your first house. A lot of you are learning a lot about what you want in life, how to, expand your horizons, think big, see potentials. And that's exactly what your relationships need. But again, it requires cooperation. It requires give and take. It requires finding that balance. So it's all about balancing your personal needs and others' needs. And that's been an emphasis, but could certainly be that way around Friday. And anything you can do to sort of enjoy your relationships, enjoy what you're expanding and all of this with yourself and your goals, but of course with moderation and balance. All right, so Virgos, I hope you have a fantastic week. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share down below. And if you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comment section for that as well. But I wish you all the very best, and I will see you all next time. Take care. All right, Libras, welcome to your weekly forecast. So first, looking at your ruler, Venus, who is in the 6th house of work for you. I think this area is very much being emphasized, as it has been. I think you've been learning a lot about this area, maybe redoing some things in this area. But Venus will be opposing up to Jupiter around Friday, so anything you can do to, yes, see potentials. Maybe it's with your work, but I think probably most fundamentally it's with where you can have more peace in your life, more fulfillment, more of a soul connection, maybe more rest and relaxation. And so it is all about balance with opposition. So here the balance is with, yes, your work and routine, which is very important for you at the moment, but so is this, larger picture, this piece that is exactly what your work needs, your day-to-day stuff needs, right? Is more of the acceptance, more of the detachment, more of that presence with that 12th house, which you've been learning so much about in your own way. Now, looking at this in terms of the financial stuff, this is that Saturn trining Uranus, because you've had Saturn in your 2nd house these past couple of years. And so if you have been feeling a bit more limited here in this area, or some of you working really hard in this area, I think is great. There is this trine now. So if since late December, you did feel like there were some changes you wanted to make with anything involving your finances or investments or things like that, savings, there's a shift this week. And I think it's a very positive shift where over the next few months or however long, again, if it's not August, I'll put a comment down below about that. But for the rest of this transit, implementing this freedom here, this freedom of where you can make some changes with your financial life or with your values, enjoying things you enjoy. And I think your work really holds the key to this, because Uranus is in that 6th, right? It has been over the past 7 or 8 years, helping you find more freedom with your work and your daily routine. And so there's a very nice trine, very supportive, involving both of these areas, where you could find a bit of flow, or at the very least, an inspiration to cultivate these things moving forward. And you certainly can with this aspect. Now, you do have a lot of 8th house stuff I do want to mention. So maybe you're more focused on others' finances or others' resources. There might be a new beginning about this next week when you have the new moon in the 8th. So I do want to mention that also. But I think seeing that we do, of course, need self-reliance and personal finance and all this, but we're also very interdependent, right? And I think most fundamentally, it's about you connecting with life on a deeper level at the moment with the sun here, seeing what matters to you most beyond the veil of things. And in your relationships, maybe a bit of that openness and vulnerability, which has been emphasized already from I think about month and a half at this point. All right, so looking at this now in terms of the work sector, this is seen by Venus opposite Jupiter as well. Jupiter rules that 6th house of work. Venus is in the 6th house. So yeah, as I was saying before, I think that's the name of the game here. There could be some opportunities actually, maybe even a relationship, someone presenting something or something like that. So it's certainly positive. You know, Jupiter definitely uplifts things. But again, balance and moderation is the name of the game. And I think, again, presence with your work is very important this week. And again, freedom with your work, right? How you can, you know, continue to implement this freedom and changes with your work. So it's more in alignment with what you're about. And this Saturn trine can really help you do that and really support that financial sector as well. All right, now looking at the relationship side of things, Mercury is shifting into your 7th this later part of the week, Friday onward, Thursday, Friday onward. And so you could start to feel like maybe you're more communicative in your relationships. You could be learning actually through them and and just sharing in general, exchanging. So very good for mercurial things there. You could be thinking more in terms of relationships. And a lot of what's going on this week, I feel like around that Thursday, Friday time is really a shift with your self-expression. And that's the Saturn who rules your 5th house trining Uranus. So from that perspective, this is all about maybe some new freedom, about the things you enjoy in life, you expressing yourself, having a bit of fun. Some of you could be romantic things shifting here. If you're in a relationship, spicing it up, you know, that creating some change and freedom in your relationship. If you're single, you could meet someone or just have some fun with someone or your groups or your friends or something like that. Because, you know, this North Node is transiting your 11th house. And as I was saying in the general, this whole week is very much about this life path. And the life path is saying that maybe there are some unhealthy things about self-expression, about creativity, about romance and all this that is being released, even though there's a lot of support with it. There's some things being released because where life is really taking you last year and this year is towards, you know, connecting to things larger than yourself, like your friends, network circles, groups, some of you, your future aspirations. And so with the sun and this T-square, I think it's great to be focused on that area of it, developing that, because that's exactly what your passions need, is for you to be, you know, cultivating something that's larger than yourself, whether it's a cause, a group, or anything for the future, you know, your personal future aspirations. All right, so yeah, great week for that. Challenge yourself with those things. You could be even learning about that stuff this first couple days. But Libra, the way I would sum up this reading is you do have this 8th house emphasis, first of all. You know, things are very much about seeing the deeper aspects of life. It is about connecting on a deeper level, being vulnerable with life. Got some new beginnings with that around the corner. There's this financial support in terms of freedom here, structure, you know, seeing the long term with it, but also with your work as well, leading up to that. And I think that's where the emphasis is, on your routine, your work, your diet, your regimens, balancing that with spirituality, meditation, alone time. It's exactly what your routine needs. And in terms of relationships, I think there is a shift of thinking more about them, communicating through them, and then again, expressing yourself in general with Saturn trine Uranus. All right, so Libra, have a fantastic week. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share down below. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link in the comment section for that as well. But I wish you all the very best week, and I will see you all next time. Take care. All right, Scorpio and Ophiuchus, welcome to your weekly forecast. So looking at your ruler Mars, yes, I think relationships are emphasized. We're going to talk more about that when we get to that segment. But yes, very good here for being direct in your relationships. You could be very much more focused on them at the moment, in fact, with the sun shifting into this 7th house of yours. Now, this week, Saturn from your 1st house is going to be trining up to Uranus, who's been in your 5th. I think a lot of you are finding that there's a lot of freedom of self-expression you could be cultivating, or passions, things close to your heart, that if there has been anything since late December of last year that you felt like cultivating with your passions in life, things close to your heart, things might shift with this. And there could be some new opportunity or something, especially if it's involving anything you've been working hard on with yourself, like this responsibility these past couple of years, or just more grounded, more mature, more long-term. It supports this. So you've got a good, strong sense of self supporting the self-expression, the fun, the creativity. So at the very least, though, I think there's a shift of perspective with this. Shift of perspective about the importance of self-expression, enjoyment, fun, and all this, and how, yes, you can cultivate these things for the coming months as we move forward with this transit. Now, let's look at this in terms of finances for you. This is seen by Jupiter, who will be opposing up to Venus, so there could be some enjoyments to be had here this Friday time period involving finances, or things that finances buy, material things, enjoyments, good meals, things like that. But of course, as I said before, balance is important, but enjoy it, right? Be grateful for what you have, but just be aware of any tendency for imbalances here. And I think your finances have been really much about future things, your future aspirations, with Jupiter in the 11th, and that's really where the opportunities are. You may find some opportunities around Friday to connect with maybe some friends and network circles, things like that, and enjoy that self-expression, enjoy a bit of that fun, all with that balance and moderation there. Now, in terms of the work sector, this is seen by the, first of all, North Node up at the top of the chart. It's a very North Node week. And so this is saying last year and this year, it's about developing your career, your productive life. And maybe there are some things that are unhealthy that might be yearnings or attachments or past karmic energy involving your home, your family, your health, your reflection, this more internal personal stuff. And so this is likely where there's a lot of focus, or a lot of energy at the moment rather. And so, as you bring in more of this productive energy, your career, this larger picture stuff, success, achievement, that's exactly what your home needs, what your health needs, what your family needs, whatever that might mean for you personally. And it's a great week for that because the sun's going to be squaring up to the north and south node, suggesting maybe there's some steps you can take here to cultivate your future productivity and bring some balance back to this home stuff. Now, that Saturn trining up to Uranus does rule your 4th, so there's a lot of support with this, I do want to say, with home, family, health stuff. It could be a whole new perspective about that, in fact. Again, moving forward with the Saturn trine Uranus, new opportunity, something like that. All right, also with your work too, I want to mention Mercury shifting into your 6th of routine. So Thursday, Friday, and for the coming weeks, very good for thinking about your routine, your diet, your regimens, anything you can do with your job, develop your skill. Mercury loves to be in the 6th and loves to be in Aries. So you get a lot of positive energy here for the mental, inquisitive, and even communicative stuff involving your work and routine. Now, looking at this in terms of relationships, yes, you got a lot of emphasis here. You got the sun, who's recently shifted into here last week. You got Mars here. You're likely very direct or very motivated in this area. But you're going to have a new beginning here next week when we have the new moon in your 7th. So whatever it is you're focused on this week involving those one-to-one connections, I think it's setting the foundation for the new beginnings around the corner. Now, Venus does rule that 7th house, right? So Venus opposite Jupiter does suggest, again, something about relationships on Friday, just needing a bit of balance and moderation. I think it's great to have that fun, enjoyment, express yourself. You've been learning a lot about that. Enjoy it with that sense of centeredness. All right, so Scorpio and Ophiuchus, I hope you have a fantastic week. I do want to thank you all very much for all of your likes, comments, and shares. If you do have any questions, feel free to comment down below. If you'd like a personal reading, looking at your personal chart for the next year, you can click the link down in the comment section for that as well. But yes, wish you the very best, and I will see you all next time. All right, Sagittarius, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's look at your ruler, Jupiter, up at the 10th house. Has been a great time for maybe reflecting on or redoing some things involving your career, productive life. We'll touch on that area more here in just a bit. But yeah, you do have Venus opposing your ruler here around Friday. So I think it is an enjoyable aspect. You know, these are two benefics. And I think you can certainly be enjoying some things in your life. Maybe it's your home life, family, that kind of a thing. But yeah, also maybe relationships. So yes, of course, enjoying all this, but maybe needing some balance where maybe this productive energy is needing to be balanced with your home life in some sense. And that's always great anyways, right? Because, you know, our productive life does need us to have good home and family life, personal life, and health even. And, you know, these roots also need us to be productive and growing, you know, towards the future. So anything you can do for balance and moderation, I think with your enjoyments, whatever that might mean for you personally here around Friday, I think will be great to enjoy, great to be grateful for with that moderation. Now, in terms of the financial, this is seen by that Saturn trining up to Uranus. So there is a lot of support here with the financial stuff, especially if you've been feeling like this late December time, a bit more inspired maybe to make some changes here, or you've just been seeing things in a new way. So now with this shift this week around Thursday, Friday in particular, and for the coming months, it is excellent to now implement this because there's this shift of perspective and you'll likely know either what you want to do or how to do it a bit clearer. And so the motions become easier. And you, as I said, you get a lot of support for this. It is all about freedom with your finances. Your finances may have been a bit more uncertain, more on the back burner these past couple of years with Saturn in this 12th house, or some of you deriving investments or finances from sources that are either like charities or giving in nature, spiritual stuff. But whatever it is, it's kind of like behind the scenes, right? The whole financial stuff. But now it gets lifted up, and it still is about, you know, letting go and surrendering everything outside of your control with the finances. But there could certainly be some opportunity or something shifting here, giving you more freedom. And again, this is about freedom with, I think, your home, family, and health life, which has been very important already. All right, now in terms of the work sector, this is your 6th house very much getting lit up. You got the sun, who's recently shifted into here last week. You got Mars here. It could be very motivated towards your work, towards your routine. The sun here is going to be squaring up to the north and south node. And so this is a reminder this week about how your life path is about expanding your horizons, you know. And so you know, this past year and all of this year, there's been this undercurrent pulling you more towards thinking big, largely, you know, expanding your belief systems, maybe some of you traveling, accessing your adventure, spirit, things like that, philosophy, spirituality. But you're likely very concentrated here in the 3rd, where there's likely a lot of emphasis on the practical stuff at the moment. And that's great. But maybe there are some past yearnings, some past attachments to the things we want to have figured out, understood. You know, it's practical stuff, communication. And we can really release, and through that releasing, free yourself up. And really what your, you know, day-to-day stuff needs and all this practical stuff really needs is for you to think big, expand your horizons a bit. You know, that's the 9th house, bringing that north node back into the south node. So great here around Friday to challenge yourself with maybe some of these things, changing your perspective. I think learning about the larger perspective of matters, your belief systems, expanding your horizons, etc. And that could be all relating in some sense to your work and routine, which again is a very good time to be focused on this week. And you'll likely have a whole new beginning with this area next week once we have the new moon in your 6th house. All right. Also, too, I do want to mention that Venus does rule your 6th. So again, around Friday here, a bit of balance and moderation with the routine. Again, it's suggesting something with the work, something like that, but enjoying it nonetheless. Maybe some opportunity actually could be the case with your work or routine. But yeah, finding that balance point, I think, is the astrological significant thing there. Now, in terms of relationships, this is seen by Mercury, who's now going into your 5th house of fun and playfulness and even romance, actually. So the second half from Thursday onward, you could start to feel a bit more expressive in your relationships, wanting to have a bit of fun. And I think it's great to do that for these next couple weeks. You kind of had a glimpse of this maybe about a month and a half ago when Mercury dipped into this fifth, but now he's here going direct. And so excellent time for anything creative, playful, fun, especially if it does involve someone else or your relationships. Could even be romantic for a lot of you, spicing up existing relationships, or if you're single, maybe mingling a bit and having a bit of fun there. All right, so I hope you guys have a fantastic week, Sagittarius. Thank you for all of your support. If you do have any questions, feel free to comment down below. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link for that as well. But have a great one, and I will see you all next time. All right, Capricorns, welcome to your weekly forecast. So, yeah, your ruler, Saturn, is being trined up by Uranus this week. Could be an exciting week, or at least things shifting for a larger perspective, right? Where you can bring in some excitement. And I think most fundamentally, just a bit of freedom in your life, especially if there's been anything since late December that you felt a bit inspired to cultivate. Maybe it does have to do with your future aspirations, because Saturn has been in your 11th house here this past 2 years, but also too maybe involving learning or trade or communication or something like that, language even perhaps. So whatever it is, there's a very good support here, and I think you'll be feeling quite inspired this week, maybe Thursday, Friday, things shifting where you can bring in more freedom. Freedom of being who you are and structuring your life and your aspirations in a way that it is more in alignment with what you're truly about. Now, looking at this from the financial sector, this is also the case. Saturn also rules your second house. Uranus rules your second house modernly. So I think there is a whole new shift in this department, and it is, again, very supportive. And I think you'll find that anything that does involve, finances, investments, savings, that kind of a thing, very supportive. But at the very least, if you don't see anything shifting for you in the external environment, because your personal chart does determine that, at the very least, what you'll see is, as an undercurrent, there is a shift of perspective here. Okay, and maybe an opportunity, something new and different. Maybe it's innovative and progressive, in fact, which is great. Now, you do have the South Node, though, transiting that second house. So there are some unhealthy things, perhaps, involving the material aspects of life and the finances that maybe you can feel like you want to let go of this week. And that can very much free you up, because this whole life path last year and this year is about you getting into the deeper dimensions of life. And if it is financial, maybe relying on others a bit or working with other people's money could be the case, whatever that is. But fundamentally, it's about getting into the deeper side of things. So that's where you've got a lot of energy this week, because again, the North Node's getting lit up. Sun's going to square up to both of those nodes around that same time on Friday. So where can you really get into the deeper, the relying on others in a healthy way, interdependency, or connect to what matters most to you in life? And because that's exactly what your finances need. That's exactly what your material security needs, is more of this 8th house emphasis. So yeah, great to challenge yourself with that this week if there's anything on that level that you feel like taking steps towards. Now, in terms of the work sector, this is seen by Venus ruling your 10th house here again around Friday. Venus opposing Jupiter could be a career opportunity, or you're just feeling quite inspired with your career and productive stuff, which is great. But again, remembering balance and moderation simply because it is in an opposition. And Mercury is going into your 4th house, so some of you might find that your routine is requiring a bit more work. Work at home maybe, or with work with your family or your home or your health or something like that. So this Friday onward and for the next couple weeks at least, really good for connecting here on the home level, the personal level, maybe involving your work in some way, which might hold a sort of key to what this time period is about. Because, this whole cycle that started is about home, it is about family, it is about your health right now. And so now Mercury down here can help you perhaps get in the routine or do some things with your job or something like that to facilitate this area in some way, or vice versa. All right, now in terms of relationships, this is always seen by the moon for you. So we are in the 3rd quarter phase, an excellent week for taking any steps towards relationships, initiation there. But the 5th house is really lit up. This is the house of your self-expression. And you're going to have a new beginning here actually just next week. This is the house of everything close to our heart, passion, fun, playfulness, hobbies, interests, romance, children, if you have children, or trying to have children. A new beginning with this. So it's sort of setting the stage for this now because the sun's here. So you could just be more focused on this area at the moment. But everything you're focused on now is what's setting the foundation for the new beginnings here around the corner. All right, so yeah, Capricorn, that's the week in a nutshell. The way I would sum this up is it's quite an exciting week, I think, for both you and Aquarians who have your rulers getting trined up by Uranus here. But again, your personal chart depends on this, and I think just seeing things in a more freeing way, in a way you're clear about who you are, in the sense of your true self, what gives you freedom, right? That's really what sparks it. What's for your excitement. And I think it's very much linked to your aspirations, future stuff, maybe even some of you to your network circles, friends, community, that kind of thing. And learning, communication, sharing, exchanging, 3rd house stuff, trade perhaps for some of you, very much emphasized with Uranus in that 3rd as well. So have a great week, Capricorn. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares. If you did find this video helpful, please like, comment, and share down below. But wishing you all the very best. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down for that if you'd like to see how this next year unfolds for you personally. But yeah, have a great one, and I will see you all next time. All right, Aquarius, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's look at your ruler, of course, Saturn being trined by Uranus this week. Very, very nice. Very good for having a bit of freedom in your life, mixing some things up. Maybe it's involving finances for some of you, where you can have more freedom with your financial life and also your career, because there's been a lot of emphasis on your productive life these past couple of years, maybe feeling a bit limited there. But now it was Saturn at the end of the 10th, trining Uranus. Something's shifting where if there's not an opportunity here with either the, long-term productive stuff and or your finances or investments or something like that, at the very least, there's a shift about these areas. And you're seeing things in a completely new light, again, in a way that's more in alignment with what you're truly about and where you can have freedom in both of these areas. And I think most fundamentally freedom with yourself, actually, being who you are, bringing some excitement in your life. And this is a week where it could certainly shift with that, maybe specifically Thursday, Friday, especially if since late December, you've been feeling a bit inspired. Now it becomes clear about what to do, what actions to take, what steps to take for these next coming months as we finish up this trine up to Uranus. All right, so now looking at this from the financial side specifically, yes, you do have this Uranus here. It's been helping you find more freedom with the financial side of things. It's past like 7 or 8 years, freedom, and then sometimes extreme ups and downs with your finances. But again, this is very much supporting it. Now, Venus is going to be opposing up to Jupiter. So yes, if you do have any financial opportunities or you're feeling hopeful, inspired about it, great. But because it's an opposition, I do want to mention that there's an importance of balance here. And I think the balance might have to do with your finances and others' finances, perhaps, or about you connecting to your enjoyments of life, but also connecting to what matters most to you in life. This is the Jupiter in your 8th, who's been helping you this past 9 months get deeper, get intimate with yourself, with life, with your relationships, perhaps. And even to rely on others, right? Have that interdependency perspective, because we all live in an interdependent world. So whatever that is, it's balance, moderation. But again, these are two benefics, so it certainly lifts it up and could certainly create opportunities in either of those two areas there. All right, now in terms of the work sector, this is seen by that Saturn in your 10th house. So as I was saying before, there is some opportunity, there is some freedom here, something lifting up, especially because Saturn's retrograde, lifting up that 10th house where it hasn't been as heavy maybe this past month. And so, yes, something new here, at the very least, a shift of where you can have more freedom, where you can create your career. So it is more in alignment with what you're about, right? And where you can have more freedom in all this. So very good there. Now, you do have a lot of 4th house emphasis. You do have the Sun, who's recently shifted into here. So I think there's a lot of focus on home or health at the moment, and that's really good. In fact, you could have a whole new beginning with this root sector of your life next week when we have the new moon. But this is a great place to motivate yourself, to focus on things at the moment. It's more personal stuff. And then again, maybe balancing that with this career productive stuff, which is, again, unfolding for you in some sense this week. All right, now looking at this from the relationship side of things, the North Node is very important. Is an important player this week. North Node's been in your 7th house of relationships last year and this year. Very good for learning about relationships and learning through your relationships. So this could be romantic, it could be business partnerships, friendships, whatever it is. And so now with the Sun squaring up to both the South and North Node, it is suggesting that maybe there are some steps you can take this week. Maybe there's some unhealthy things perhaps about yourself or your goals or your personal needs, your sense of self even, your sense of identity and all this that is being released. And what you really need, I think, and obviously don't let me tell you this is just meant to confirm your inner guidance, but what it looks like is that what your identity and all this really needs is those relationships, is really learning about yourself through your relationships. And so as you develop all this cooperation, this give and take, learning about relationships, you're in a sense, bringing that back into yourself. It's that you need these relationships for the sense of identity or the sense of self or for your goals, your ambitions or whatever. And this week, challenging yourself here to take any steps that you feel like you might want to take or feel like you need to take towards some partnership, relationship, something like that, that is could be a very good benefit to your own personal wants and needs or your personal goals in life. All right, so Aquarius, I hope you have a fantastic week. I would say, to sum this up, simply Saturn trining Uranus. Fantastic for a bit of aspiration, future things, some ideals, seeing that side of things. This doesn't happen very often, this aspect. And your ruler in a good trine like this could really give you a bit of that freedom, a bit of innovation, progressiveness, thinking outside the box, and again, just seeing things in a completely new light about your life, maybe about career, and also about the financial investment side of things. So Aquarius, have a great week. Thank you for all of your support. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and share down below. But wish you the best. If you would like a personal reading, there is a link down in the comment section for that as well. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions, but have a great one. See you next week. All right, Pisces, welcome to your weekly forecast. So, yes, looking at your ruler Jupiter. Jupiter being opposed by Venus here this week with Venus in your first house. I think it's a fantastic time for enjoying some things, maybe around Thursday, Friday, maybe involving relationships, maybe involving a bit of communication, a bit of depth, openness, intimacy, things on that level. And maybe even, too, enjoying a bit of your career, actually, because Jupiter does rule that 10th house of career. But it is about balance and moderation, of course. So, around that Friday, if you do feel like there's any overexuberance, overindulgence, over-optimism about maybe anything involving relationships or involving yourself in general, I think it's great to just find that balance with, that moderation, and really be grateful for who you have in your life, what you have in your life, and really maybe even just seeing how you're doing the status check about that, about self and other at this time that could give you some very good insights and maybe even inspiration in both of those areas. Now, Saturn is trining up to Uranus. Uranus has been in your first, so really the past 8 years, it's been a great time for finding freedom. And so now there could certainly be this grounded freedom, this willingness to take things slow, to build freedom in your life, the freedom of identity, freedom of your goals, your aspirations. And this has been likely a Saturn who's been helping you get more serious about your belief systems, your possibilities and potentials. Some of you may be working hard specifically on things that involve university or abroad matters, spirituality, things like that. But now it very much gets supported. And I think you are thinking big. I think you are seeing the larger perspective now. Not that you weren't before, but it's very much supporting this. And so you could be feeling quite free in general. Saturn in the 9th, trine up to Uranus in the 1st. Freedom of self, but also freedom of expanding your horizons. So whatever that means for you personally, I think it's an excellent week for doing that, for seeing the bigger picture, for being, who you are, making some changes that are in alignment with that. Maybe it's about your aspirations, future things that could give you an opportunity with or something this week. But yes, a shift of perspective that's very freeing, which is, again, cultivating who you truly are. Now, in terms of the financial side of things, this is seen by, first of all, Mercury shifting into your second. So right around the same time, Thursday, Friday, we have some shifts. Mercury in the second, you could start to now be thinking more about finances, working with them practically, investments, savings, things like that. You get good mental aptitude here. And if there was anything from about a month ago that you sort of got a glimpse about this, area about budgeting, investments, your values, your sense of self-worth, self-reliance, this all starts to come into the picture again this second half of the week going into next. Now, yes, with that being said, Venus, who does rule your 8th house of others' finances and others' resources, if you are involved in anything on that level, shared resources, loans, debts, things like that, it could be something that's an opportunity here or something that you're seeing some possibilities with. But again, balance, I think, will be important. Moderation, whether it's with the spending or the investment or whatever it is. You could certainly enjoy things in your life, be grateful for it, enjoy what others have to give, what you have to give. There's that balance again with the first and other. But yes, with moderation there, I think is a good way of working with it. Now, in terms of the work sector, this is seen by the North Node in the 6th house. North Node's getting very strongly aspected this week, suggesting that last year and this year has been about your work, as an undercurrent of your life, developing your time management, energy management, developing your craft, your skills, and anything you do on a daily level. Some of your self-improvement, diet, things like that. So whatever that stuff is, but I think fundamentally with your work, you do have this shift. Well, I think mostly with the sun squaring up to the North Node, this sort of these steps you can take this later part of the week to cultivate your work and your routine. Because I think where the emphasis is probably more so on the behind the scenes activities, maybe on things like spirituality or rest or relaxation. That's the South Node, but the South Node's also where there's some past karmic energy. And so if there is anything here that's unhealthy, letting it go, detaching, surrendering, involving that, just really, letting go of any yearnings here for wanting that alone time or spiritualness or psychological stuff. And what you need, I think, is a lot of this work and routine, diet, regimens, this really self-improvement stuff. And that is exactly what your spiritual self needs, right? So as you develop more of this grounded perspective about the actual work that it takes to find peace and spirituality and tranquility and all this, you'll find that you're bringing that North Node back into the South Node. And any steps you can take this week to do just that, I think, can go well. All right, now looking at this from the, we looked at that from work. So now in terms of relationships, again, very much lit up. Your ruler's in the 7th house, opposite Venus here this week. So it is all about this balance here with that area. But there's certainly still opportunities with your relationships. I think enjoying them here around Friday, maybe an opportunity or something there with them. Just connecting, give and take, cooperation, harmony, all of that. It's very much linking up with this, again, freedom of yourself and the hopefulness for the future things or your horizons there, your life path. And even too with Mercury, who does rule your 7th house, going into the 2nd, you could find that you're maybe wanting to get into something maybe financial or material, or you're enjoying things with your relationships that are material, like, that invoke the senses, a good meal, relaxation, things like this that is about enjoying the simple pleasures of life. Because again, your mind is going into the 2nd, into your values, and there's certainly a link there with your relationships, enjoying them, and even too seeing the things you value in your relationships going into next week. All right, so Pisces, hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comment section for that. But I'm wishing you all the very best, and I'll see you all next time.